systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everybody? We're back for a Monday edition of the NBA show. Last week of the NBA season, I believe. Checked the schedule before hopping on. I think this is our final show together, Matt. But yeah, how's your weekend going? And if it is our last show together, it's always a pleasure. Love talking ball with you. But yeah, been a fun season. It's gone by really quickly, surprisingly. But yeah, how's everything going for you? How was your Easter weekend?
Yeah, everything's good, man. Weekend was good. A lot of family time. Came real close in the MLB streets, as you know. So hopefully can get all the way up to the top sooner rather than later. But yeah, man, good weekend. Excited to talk this slate out with you, even if it's a small one. Maybe we'll have some good playoff slates that we can talk over. So excited for that. I know playoff hoops is just better than regular season NBA. There's no it's just unequivocally better basketball. So excited for the playoffs to start, and there'll be some good slates. It's a completely different game as far as the DFS perspective goes, but it's better basketball, especially being a fan of a team that's like in the playoff mix consistently. Excited for kind of the playoff season to start. But yeah, MLB has kind of taken over from a DFS perspective, but there's still some decent contests in the NBA streets. So excited to at least get into it with you tonight.
Yeah, thankfully tonight's slate looks pretty good. We do have one game that has playoff implications for the seeding. That Knicks and Atlanta game should be a fun one, and then Orlando, a team that is trying really hard right now to stay or move up in the East, and then as well as Philly. So some good spots, at least from a game environment perspective or team environment perspective, where these teams will be playing things pretty straightforward. So I think that makes it a lot easier to talk through. And then we have one game with your Cleveland Cavaliers, who ruled out a bunch of guys, and then that Memphis side of things, that's just they're playing a bunch of creative players right now, so it's really tough to talk through. But we'll go through it game by game as always. Say what's up to some people in chat before we do. Winslow is in here. Ricky Rose, our guy Parabay, Mac, Nades, what's going on? Always checking. I don't know. Are you on the show tonight, Nades, for MLB? If you are, I'm definitely gonna be tuning in there. Always good knowledge coming from our guy. And then Deacon and Julius are here tonight. Um, and our boy Josh, what's going on, man? If you wanted to go through any sort of like slate overview stuff, if not, we can just jump right into the games.
Yeah, I think Nate is on tonight with Ham, my guy from the Friday NBA shows, and those are just a riot. I know you be watching those, and
Yeah.
we have a lot of fun on those shows. So I'll be watching tonight too for sure. As far as the slate overview goes, Pistons got a lot of guys out here, so they're going to look good from a value perspective. I think the slate overview is kind of what you said, though. All competitive games, really. And the Cleveland-Memphis game, because Cleveland has so many guys out, that game could easily be competitive. Less, that game is much murkier as far as knowing where to go, but I think there's pieces to take. I think every game clearly has a role on this slate, and I think that you can take pieces from every game and kind of build around it. So an exciting slate from that regard.
Yep, for sure. Great breakdown. Did want to go back to that Friday show because that was a very entertaining show. You guys got a lot right there, but our boy Cooper Flag, worst play on the slate, ended up going for 51 real points against the Orlando Magic, who apparently are a lockdown defense.
Yeah.
So bad look for that one guy that was talking about them. But yeah, we'll jump in game by game as always. Going into the first one, Detroit at Orlando. A little game overview here. Detroit locked in the number one seed, so really don't have much to play for rest of the way. I would kind of imagine them to dial back the minutes a bit on these starters that have been playing a lot. They do have doubtful tags on. Let me pull up the injury report real quick, but doubtful tags on Duncan, Beef Stew, Tobias Harris, and Cade, we kind of know that Cade's not going to play. He's done for the year. But the Tobias and Duncan ones are new. Kind of just feel like it's management tags at this point in the season, then a questionable tag on Karis LeVert. But yeah, I do expect them to deepen up the rotation a little bit. The only guy that is really playing for something right now is Jalen Duren because he's kind of battling with Nickeil Alexander-Walker for most improved player. So I think that there's a chance they start to maybe not play him more minutes, but run more things through him, more of the offense through him to kind of like juice up those numbers a little bit. And then on the Magic side of things, out tags on Franz Wagner, Jet Howard, and Jonathan Isaac. And then the big news was Anthony Black upgraded to probable. That's really big for the Magic. He was great early in the season, just a really good two-way guy. As far as what that does for the rotation a little bit, I do expect him to still come off the bench, but there's a chance that he could bump out Tristan da Silva. They have enough handling in the first unit to not really need to start Anthony Black, but he does provide a secondary defensive option that the Magic hadn't really had with him off the court. But yeah, talk to me about this one. Detroit at Orlando, pretty low team. So I think this is the lowest one on the slate at 222.5. So could be a little bit less of appealing of a game, but the Magic side things is a little bit more interesting because they will run things pretty tight, I would imagine.
Yeah, and Black being back, he's a good defender, so I don't like that from a Detroit perspective. From the Pistons standpoint, though, like they're gonna have guys in play just because of the guys they have out here. No Tobias, no Duncan Robinson, so I'm gonna put someone like Kevin Huerter firmly in the mix. Like I get your point about not really wanting to spend on the Detroit guys like Duren and Dennis. Although your point about Duren, like, maybe playing for most improved, sure. But I kind of lean more towards like they have the 1 seed locked. His numbers are what they are. I think he's going to win that award anyways. So I'd be kind of surprised if they pushed him hard here. And that leaves the door open for the cheaper guys. Herder, Holland, those two are the two that probably stand out the most. Marcus Sasser at 4,100, like wouldn't be surprised if he played more here, but I don't think you need to get too weird with it. I think Herder looks like a guy that I'm probably just going to play here. 4,300, you can play him at, shooting guard, small forward, so 5 different spots. He looks really, really good. LeVert is truly questionable, I believe, right?
Yep.
If he's in, he looks good here. He's getting ownership. Sabres showing it. I think that he's not someone I feel great about at chalk, but 3,700, very good tag for all those guys being out. So I think it's the cheap Detroit guys. I understand your angle about the most improved for Duren. I just think I like the spend ups elsewhere, and I'll play it kind of from the angle you talked about where they've already clinched the 1 seed. And like, it's likely, even though Cade seemingly is on a track to play in the playoffs, they're going to need Jenkins, like, especially in the first round. So I doubt they're going to just push him here. I like the cheaper Detroit guys. As far as Orlando goes, it's basically the same thing they've been. All their guys are priced to a point where they're all in play. I don't think any of them stand out as guys you have to play. My favorite is still probably Suggs. 6,800 is a good tag for him, but Bane, Wendell Carter, Banchero, like those 4 with Kane and Da Silva as like fringe guys. I think they're all in play.
Yep, pretty much agree with everything you said there. Kind of feel the same about the Detroit stuff. I don't really love going up to Duren or Jenkins here because I agree with your point on them. Actually, the betting markets do have Nickeil Alexander-Walker as the favorite, but I kind of agree. I think Duren should be winning it, but I mean, Nickeil Alexander-Walker's had a great last 2 months and really great season, but I agree with you. I think that they don't really need to push him up too much if the games aren't really, they're kind of meaningless for them the rest of the way, so it's kind of just getting them ready for the playoffs. Herder is a guy, I agree with you. I think that he's pretty safe regardless because I remember reading a lot of stuff when they traded for him that he was a guy they needed to get going, and he's going to be like a big part of their team success, I would say, in the playoff. So I feel like he's going to be playing regardless. They're going to look to get him a lot of minutes and a lot of more offensive workload. He started 2 games for the Pistons this season, 31.3 and 36.5 DK points. So very good production from him at 4.3K. And I agree with you on Orlando. I think Suggs is my favorite option. surprisingly, the minute ceiling has been a lot better than I anticipated from him because he's just a guy that's dealt with so much injury. But this is a game. I mean, they're going to be needing to play these guys a ton the rest of the way to kind of move up in the Eastern Conference seeding or at least hold their positioning because they can fall all the way down to 10, but could get all the way up to I think 6 or 5. Five's
That's a
kind of weird, but
massive difference.
yeah, they're one game back on the Sixers, who are obviously playing tonight against the Spurs. 2 games back on the Hawks. So I mean, there is or sorry, 3 games back on the Hawks, but they're only 1 game ahead of the Heat, who are 10th right now. So it's I mean, a lot could really change. So they do need to play their guys a ton.
Yeah, they need wins for sure. So interesting
Yeah.
from that perspective, as you mentioned, like they're going to run a tight rotation. So I think getting to Orlando makes some sense here.
Just want to pull up their schedule this week, just to get an idea of who they're playing. Let's see. Orlando plays Detroit today. They're off tomorrow. Minnesota, Chicago, Boston. So 3 of their 4 last games are very tough for sure. All right, we'll jump into the next game here. Knicks at Atlanta Hawks. I think this game is going to be really fun, and definitely think that this is one where we could see playoff-like rotations for both teams because it is pretty big for the standings. The Knicks are trying to hold their positioning in 3, although I think that there are probably some easier paths for them if they were to fall down or up. I don't know. That's kind of last time you had talked about that, where the Cavs were kind of trying to lose games to hold that 4 spot. Not sure if the Knicks are looking to do the same here, but I think this is a game where both teams will be going all out to win here because the Hawks I think they do want to stay 5th here. So if you want to touch on that, the playoff seeding real quick.
I do think at this point it's kind of a lock that like the Cavs are going to be in fourth, or yeah, the Cavs are going to be in fourth. I'm not positive, but only a few games left to play. I I'm not sure, but that's what I think is the likely outcome. I'm not sure how the Knicks are playing it. It does seem like the Cavs are playing it where, again, they got all their guys out tonight. Basically, I mean, they're playing it as kind of like they're fine losing these games. Not that they're tanking per se, but I think the Cavs would much rather play Detroit in the second round, frankly.
Yeah. Matchup wise, I think that these teams do match up pretty well. The Hawks have been great in the second half of the season, one of the top defense in the league, but also playing really good on offense. Rebounding has been great for them. Still giving up a little bit of rim scoring, so there's kind of a spot that you can attack there. Um, but all around, just playing really good basketball on both sides of the court. The Knicks have been up and down a lot as of late. Definitely given up a lot more catch and shoot than they probably want to, and the rim defense hasn't been as good as it needs to be. So I think that Hawks do match up pretty well here. Hawks are going to want to play with pace. I think this game could be one that is heard from a DFS perspective. Knicks side of things, it's Cat over Brunson for me pretty much always. I just don't think it's a good spot for Brunson against Dyson Daniels. He's been fine from a production standpoint, averaged 29 points per game on 48% shooting against Dyson this season. But the overall fantasy upside is just a bit capped with a fully healthy team. Like we even saw on Friday when Cat missed, he was pretty popular, I believe, on that slate. Was efficient, but 17 points and 10 assists for 34 DK points is just not going to get it done at 9K. Love Brunson as a player, but I think that he should be priced in like the low 8Ks right now, just from what we've seen from him this season. So pretty clear X out for me. Do prefer Cat over him. Cat got the night off on Friday. The Knicks don't play again until Thursday. So they're going to be very well rested. Definitely a game that they'll be going all out for. But Cat's been really good in these close games, probably be playing around 34 minutes. Hawks have been much more vulnerable at the rim. And Cat did go off against him earlier this season for 36 and 15 in just 30 minutes. I like the matchup for him, like his upside. And then the trio of OG, Hart, and McHale, I think are guys that you should always keep in the player pool because more often than not, there's a good chance one of these guys does enough to at least be viable, but they do have really big ceiling outcomes when they do hit. We've seen OG been great as of late. Josh Hart is a guy that, double double, triple double threat at times. He'll have a soft matchup. Less so for McHale, but he is really cheap at 5.7K. Um, and then, yeah, if you want to talk to me about the Hawks, they're getting a little bit of ownership, I believe. I've seen yeah, they're all kind of in like the low to upper teens, their main guys that they're playing, but definitely good upside on these guys at these price tags. I think Okongwu is pretty interesting with no jock, but yeah, touch on this game here.
Yeah, so that's the first guy from Atlanta I want to touch on. But it is interesting that this game it's basically a pick 'em. It is a pick 'em, decently high total. It's kind of falling through the cracks from an ownership perspective just because of how the slate lays out. Just interesting. I think like from a game stacking perspective, this game is interesting because like projections aren't going to get people to a ton of it. And certainly there's appeal here for it playing higher than the total, overtime on a 4-game slate, the other game's busting, multiple avenues. And there's good players in this game. So from that perspective, I can get on board. I think your Knicks breakdown is, I'm right in line there. I prefer Towns, and I think the other guys are certainly guys I'd want to keep in my pool. Brunson's overpriced. From Atlanta, I like the Hawks a little bit more. My favorite piece of Atlanta is Okongwu. No jock. He's in good form right now. He's got a really good price tag. He's one of my favorite mid-tier plays on the slate. Ownership is there, but nothing crazy. I think he's slightly underprojected here. I like him in what should be a close game, and I can get on board with all the other main pieces from Atlanta. Jalen Johnson's not my favorite spend-up option on the slate, but he's always in play, so I wouldn't fault anyone who did have him as their favorite spend-up option. And then Dyson, Alexander Walker, McCollum, all these guys in the pool. No one I'm like, I have to play, but all of them I could play. Okongwu is my favorite. How do you see it?
I agree with you. I like Okongwu the best, and I probably have Nikhil Alexander next, and I'm with you on Jalen. I'm not really excited about this matchup for him against OG. It's been a while since we've had a game that you really needed to have from Jalen Johnson, and he's still priced way up there. Like I think March 16th. Yeah, like
against Orlando, like
10
weeks
game.
ago.
Yeah. So he just feels more like a cash game play to me right now because a 50, like he's pretty much locked in for like 50 to 55, and it's just been a while since he's 6x his price tag. I don't know if I would expect that to happen against OG. Just a tough matchup for him. So I'm with you on the Okongwu shout. And I like Nikhil Alexander Walker as my second favorite option on Atlanta.
Cool.
I mean, this whole show is kind of breaking that down, so I feel like it's kind of, yeah, I would just go back and, I don't know. The show is kind of breaking down every single tier, every game, so I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but we'll jump into the next game. Philly at San Antonio. The Spurs don't really have much to play for now. They're pretty much locked in at 2. Like there's an outside shot they could reach OKC, but highly unlikely. They play the Thunder are 3 games up now on the Spurs, so they really needed that win over the weekend against Denver. So yeah, there's a really, really small chance that Spurs can move up here. I still think that they'll probably play this game straight up because it would be good just to get these guys minutes against a playoff team. So I think that they'll play it straight up. But yeah, I mean, this game for sure has a ton of appeal. Definitely looking forward to watching Embiid and Wemby face off tonight. And the Sixers do need a win because they are in that same range in the Eastern Conference. They're 6 right now, could drop all the way down to 10 as well if they do go on like a small losing streak. Highly unlikely, but this is a game that they are not favored to win. But I think they'll be going all out here, and they run things pretty straightforward. They're one of the more predictable rotations. We're going to get like an 8-man rotation from them. I wouldn't say anything about the matchup really stands out. The Spurs have been giving up more 3-point volume as of late, so guys like Paul George are probably in better spots than Maxey and Embiid. But Maxey and Embiid they still have upside even in tough matchups. Maxey going against Castle, Wemby, and Embiid facing off, so tough spot for both of them. But I think it's a little bit easier for a guy like Embiid to rack up fantasy points. So I do prefer him over Maxey, but not by like a really wide margin because Maxey's going to be playing 40 plus minutes pretty much every game the rest of the season. So just easy to get fantasy points when you're on the court so much. I do like Paul George, though, a lot here at 8K. Been playing great since returning from the suspension, shown really good usage and upside playing alongside those guys. Spurs do allow more off-ball scoring, so I think it's a good spot for Paul George to get more shots than usual here. But what are you seeing on the Sixers side of things, and then take us into the Spurs side?
Yeah, so one like counterpoint of what we talked about earlier with Detroit possibly like pulling their guys back a little bit is potentially, and it's kind of the same situation with San Antonio. Like they're going to play their guys, they're basically their full allotment of minutes. And then when they don't want to play them, they're going to rest them like Detroit is doing with a couple guys tonight. So you're not going to see like huge minutes from the Spurs guys, but normal minutes wouldn't surprise me. I think you could see this game play straight up. From the Philly side, I really like Embiid here. I like him in big time matchups like this. And it's just, as you kind of said, verbatim, it's easy for him to rack up fantasy points. So it's nothing about the matchup, but Philly needs wins. All their main guys are in play. I could get on board with Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George. You mentioned Paul George on his first game back. I kind of poo-pooed him. I mean, pretty sure he was a huge piece of Shaloub's winner of all. I can't remember how much it was that night, but he was amazing that night. And he's been really good, as you mentioned, since he's come back. So all three of those guys are guys I could play. I like Embiid the most. No one else on Philly is I think going to land in my personal like limited lineup pool. I don't want the fringe guys. I want the main guys. And then from the Spurs side, I like him. I like Wemby a lot. So I like running Wemby and Embiid. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. You're obviously taking up center and util and a lot of salary. I think they both have monster upside in this spot and what should and could be a close game. So I like both them here. I think Castle obviously looks good. De'Aaron Fox is cheap. It's a better matchup on paper for San Antonio, and they're really affordable. So I could get on board with a bunch of Spurs.
Yep. Agree with everything there. Can't forget to mention Joel Embiid going for 70 against Wemby, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I feel like he gets up for spots like this, both the French,
Yeah.
whatever.
Um, and the Spurs side, I agree with you. I think Wemby probably the easiest click as a spend up tonight at 11.5K. I mean, he's just been really turning it up as of late, 76 plus DK points in 3 straight games. I like the matchup against Embiid. Embiid plays a ton of drop coverage. Their overall defense is just much worse with him on the court. So I think there's a good case for Wemby here to have a ton of upside, obviously, but the matchup being really well for him is kind of the main one. And the same thing for Cal. So I like him when he can get some more transition scoring going. And maybe they want to, I don't think they're going to want to play Castle every minute that Max is on the court, but they're going to definitely want to have them match up as much as they can. And he does have a lot of upside. I think he's a little bit underpriced for what he's shown as of late. Fox is a tougher sell just because he's like clearly the third option on the team.
He's just so
When
cheap. It's the only
Yeah,
reason.
so cheap. I actually do think that it's a good spot for him. Like I said, with Embiid playing so much drop coverage, that's going to help his scoring upside a ton. But like realistically, he needs like 30 real points, I think, because he's just not doing enough of the other things when Castle and Wemby are healthy. I think that the grouping of Vassell, Champagny, Harper, and Keldon should be in player pools as well because they kind of profile similar to the Knicks secondary guys in the sense that these guys are probably have like one of these 4 guys is probably doing enough to be viable, and they do have that upside that can win a tournament for you and can be used as pivots off of the Cleveland and Memphis stuff. All right, good segue going into that Cleveland and Memphis game. Your Cleveland Cavaliers are, let me double check the spread here, 13-point favorites on the road. So even with all these guys out, which is James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Tyson, Thomas Bryant, Max Strus, and Dean Wade, Vegas still giving them a ton of credit here. Obviously, against a team like Memphis, who is just doing a bunch of shenanigans, signing a bunch of guys I've never even heard of before. But Ty Jerome is out, Jemai Meshack and Javon Small are out, and then Hendricks and Gibson are doubtful. Right now, I see 9 guys projected on Memphis, but they could make it 10. Ryan Rupert, we don't have a minutes projection on just yet because he's been inactive in some of these games. So if he's out or in, would definitely change how I'm looking at it. But yeah, I mean, it's a great spot for the Cavs to put up a ton of points here. They're like we said, they're pretty locked in their positioning in the standings right now. So don't think we're going to be getting full minutes from Mobley and Allen. But it's really a tough spot to avoid because the matchup is just so good. So I'll let you touch on your Cavs on how you're seeing them from a value standpoint and how you compare Mobley and Allen to some of these mid-tier options and Jared Allen at the center position against guys like Wemby and Embiid.
Yeah, so another spot where I do like the value more because I do think there's minutes insecurity with the main guys. it's hard to get away from them, as you mentioned. I like Mobley more just because of the eligibility at power forward. And I try, like, especially with Allen's recent injury history, I struggle to see him playing big minutes here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he breaks the slate. He's cheap enough where he can do it. But I think I'm going to lean off of Allen and into Mobley and the value. Impossible to get away from the value. It looks really, really good here. Schroeder, Craig Porter Jr., Keon Ellis, Sam Merrill, Naquan Tomlin. I mean, all 5 of those guys I could make a case for being one of, if not the best value play on the slate. Obviously, some of them look better than others. Larry Nance, like, this is what you get in NBA DFS right now. We only have Larry Nance ship it that is projected for like 14. You see it here, 14.68 fantasy points. Saber has him projected for 25. Now, maybe that's just like we haven't updated since guys have been out, but from a Saberson perspective, Nance looks elite. So you're going to want Cleveland here. Just a matter of how much. Like, I think playing the spend ups in the last game we talked about and a lot of the value here is a build that I'm going to certainly look at. Maybe it's not how I land, but I want the cheap guys here again, kind of like Detroit. And I like the Cleveland guys even more than the cheap Detroit guys. Better spot, more guys out for Cleveland, more main guys out. So yeah, I probably order them like right here off the top of my head. Schroeder number 1 easily. Probably, oh man, it's tough because they're both point guards, but you probably Keon Ellis too, then Craig Porter Jr., then Merrill, then Tomlin. I don't know, Nance in there too. How do you rank them? Like they all have a real serious role on this slate.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of like putting the value plays into 2 different buckets, and because that makes it a little bit easier to talk through. So like the guards, and I would, even though Keon is a small forward, power forward on DraftKings, I kind of would group him into the guards. And I agree with you. I think Schroeder is the clear cut number 1 option. 4K, really tough to get away from. And then I have it Craig Porter Jr. next, and then Keon. Um, I just think Craig Porter Jr.
Yeah,
is like
same, but it's so much easier to play Keon with. Or it's so much easier. Yeah, it's so much easier to play Keon with Schroeder than playing Porter Jr. with Schroeder together because they're both point guards, you know?
Yeah, for sure. You're getting off of. I mean, definitely easier to do double point guards than it is to do double centers because we do have a third spot we can play them. But I do agree. I think that it is a little bit tougher there. But for me, I do have Schroeder and Porter Jr. as my 2 top options. I just think that Craig Porter Jr., nobody on the slate has as good of upside as he does when he actually gets there because he does a lot of everything. Like he's a good, decent enough scorer. He can spike for a ton of assists at times. He's a good rebounder. Like we've seen him get close to triple doubles when he fills into these roles, and this is just a great, great spot for him. So I have him second. But the way that I'm looking at it, like I said, with Merrill, Keon, Schroeder, and Porter Jr., I'm kind of grouping all those guys together. I think there's a chance that you can get to 3 of them. So I'm going to be max 3 of those. Oh, sorry, I would throw Proctor in there as well. So it's a max 3 of Proctor, Porter Jr., Schroeder, Ellis, and Merrill. And then I would put a max 2 of Allen, Mobley, Nance, and Tomlin. I think those 4 guys are the top 4 guys that will kind of take over the front court minutes. It's gonna be tough for me to not see one of Mobley or Allen doing good enough, even in limited minutes, because the matchup is just so good. Like, look what Mobley did against Utah Jazz in 30 minutes, but like 8 or was it 68 DK points? Like, this is a much better matchup than that one against Utah because Memphis just has they don't have a real center. Like it's Omax Prosper, and he's well undersized. So I think Mobley is really, really strong here. Definitely easier to get there than it is to Jared Allen because the center position is pretty strong tonight. But yeah, I think Mobley's a fantastic option for sure. We did come down, or Saber did come down a little bit on Larry Nance. If you can refresh projections, he's down to 19.7 right now. I think they're just kind of giving him a lot of like the fantasy point per minute was at like 1.13. Now it's at 0.95, so a little bit more in line with what we had. But yeah, he came down a lot.
The spread is off here on this game I'm seeing too. Like before I updated it, it was even more off. But as you mentioned, the spread's like 13.5 here, and the team totals here are only like 10 point, 9.5 off. So you're going to have some discrepancies there.
Yeah, they got it back to 10 now but that's just I think that's like their own team projection.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, all right, Memphis
That's
side of
way different
things.
than the spread itself, which is interesting.
Yeah, they have it like a 10-point spread on Sabre, but it's closer to 13 and a half. So yeah, interesting how they do that. Um, yeah, Memphis side of things gonna have to, I think, just wait a little bit to see what the injury report looks like closer to tip off. Because, like I said, with Rupert, they could make him inactive. He's running out of days, I think. So you just have to keep an eye on that one. But as of now, they have 9 guys projected for minutes, so they can spread it out enough to make it a spot where you don't really need to have these guys, like we've talked about. I feel like for the past 2 months with Memphis. But one guy that is interesting to me is Dariq Whitehead because he was a guy that was pretty highly regarded coming into the league. Landed in a pretty bad situation in Brooklyn, didn't really get to develop there, but Memphis did sign him. So I'm expecting pretty big minutes from him the rest of the way. And the usage was pretty solid in his first 2 games, played a ton last game. And then guys like GG and Cedric Coward, Cam Spencer, Omax are all in play here. But I think that as we get closer to the end, they're probably going to be playing a lot of these two-way guys a little bit more. I really would be lying if I said I knew anything about like Toby Okani or Lucas Williamson or Adama Ball. Like I don't really know enough about them to talk about them. So I'm just gonna say kind of a max 2 spot for Memphis here. Um, and I think that Dariq Whitehead is my favorite option. But if you want to touch on them,
No, yeah, Whitehead's my favorite too, but I guess I want to throw it back to you. Like, how do you compare Whitehead to like the Cleveland value and Kevin Herter? Like, Keon Ellis, Merrill. Now, Schroeder's obviously a better play, but like Ellis, Merrill, Herter, Whitehead, how would you rank those guys?
you said Ellis, Whitehead, and Herter
And Merrill.
and Merrill. Merrill's the my least favorite of the
Okay.
grouping for sure. I think I have um probably Herter and Whitehead like 1A, 1B, and then Ellis. So yeah, I think that's probably how I'd have it. I do like Herter a good bit here, but yeah, I'm pretty interested to see what Whitehead does tonight. How do you
Cool.
have it? Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you. I think my headphones cut out, but we're
Oh,
good
it's all
now.
good. How do you have the value between those 4 guys ranked?
I think I'm also with you. I have Merrill last. I think I have Herter 1, Whitehead 2, Ellis 3,
Yep.
but pretty interchangeable. And I think Merrill, again, like offensively, if he gets hot, could have the best game of all of them. So I
Yep.
think that they're all in play.
Yep. Absolutely. Um, all right. I mean, there's only 4 games. There is 5 on FanDuel, and that is a pretty solid game. The Portland and Denver game. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. I'm seeing pretty big ownership on guys like Denny. He's expensive, but I think that's definitely going to be a game that's going to be heard from. It's just I think you probably still need the value in the Cleveland and Memphis game, and then you can kind of swap in and out the spend ups in that last game. I'm not sure if either of those teams are playing for much now. The Blazers are, I guess they can get up to 8. That would make a difference for sure in the
Sure.
play-in. Nuggets can get up to 3, I think, but I'm pretty sure they would. Yeah, I think that they are playing for something. Never mind, because actually Houston, Lakers, and Nuggets are all in like that 3 to 5 range, and pretty big difference if you go from 5 to 3, because I think then you would avoid OKC if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I think OKC would actually prefer to not play Denver as well. So that game will definitely, I expect pretty big minutes from the main guys for sure in that one. Um, yeah, but any closing thoughts?
Did you mention Cam Spencer?
I did. I kind of threw him into the group with the like GG and
Okay.
Cedric Coward. I mean, he's not. I do like him, but maybe a little bit overowned because he's. I really think that his
Yeah.
minutes are getting cut down in these types of games. Um, yeah, like I have nothing negative to say about him. He is a guy that can go for 40 in like 20 minutes, but I think that probably less excited about him tonight than usual.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like he's a better play than like Whitehead, but maybe not because to your point, like maybe Memphis does even weirder stuff with their rotation going forward with only a couple games left. So it's really tough to break down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do some Cooper Flag Rookie of the Year talk. Kind of mentioned that a few weeks ago was a good time to jump on him when he was like plus, I don't even know what he was, like plus 275 or something.
He
But
went
that
nuts
was
again
kind of,
last night.
yeah, yeah, he's been killing. I think it was the first teenager to go for 40 plus in back-to-back games, and I think he scored, or the youngest player to ever score 50. I think before that was my guy Brandon Jennings. Always been a huge fan of him, but yeah, it's been a
Okay.
while since we had a really young guy go off. So that was cool to see
Yeah, totally.
against an elite defense too in the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, right.
But all right, appreciate everybody tuning in. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll definitely be doing some more stuff together down the line, but I believe this was our last show together. I just got to double check the calendar, but I'm pretty sure it's the last one. So always a pleasure talking hoops with you. Um, yeah, any closing thoughts here? I think was this your last NBA show? I didn't see you on the schedule the rest of the week.
I'm honestly not sure, so I'll take your word for it. But if so, it was obviously fun. Haven't talked to you yet about the playoffs, so again, maybe we can get on for something there. But until then, it's been fun.
Yep, absolutely. Good luck tonight, everybody. I'll be back with Titletown tomorrow, and then the next 2 days after that. So you see a lot of me for the rest of the week. But yeah, good luck tonight, everybody, if you are playing, and we'll catch you later.